My name is Ben and I'm going to introduce you to our Biomove 3000 home therapy device, which will assist you in your relearning of the movements you are not able to do anymore now because as the result of a stroke you had a while ago. So we are going to apply the device to you as a training device, and I'm going to show to you now how we are going to use the device at home, because you have to use it at least once a day, but preferably twice a day for 20 minutes at your home. This is the device for home use, and I'm going to show you how to connect it to yourself or with the help of somebody else. You see here at the rear a connector, and this is the connector of the patient cable. I place the connector inside the connector over here in the device. I turn this to the right and it's locked in its place. You do not need to take it out anymore if you have a place at home where you can place it like this. It's the easiest way to leave the connector and the device connected. At the bottom side you need from time to change a battery. The device works on a 9-volt alkaline battery, and placing the battery inside the device is simply lifting the lid. You see inside location for the battery with a plus and a minus sign, which you also find on the battery itself. You may place the battery inside the device and lock it in place. After you have locked it in place, you place the lid on the device closed. Now the device is ready for use. In order to be able to measure the electrical signal which your brain is still able to send to your fingers, enabling you to make a small movement of your fingers only, we are going to place 3 electrodes on your arm. The electrodes inside this bag, it's a zipper bag. You open them up like this, remove the top part. The electrodes are reusable, meaning you don't need to throw them away after you have applied them and after your training session is over. You keep the zipper bag because you will need it for storing the electrodes after the session. 4 electrodes are supplied in 1 pouch, but you only will need 3 of them for your training session. But before we are going to apply the electrodes to your arm, we want to make sure that your arm is nicely cleaned, and if you would have been a man and with a lot of hair on your arms, we would have requested to shave or to cut the hair off your arm before applying the electrodes. Now we use normally a alcohol pad which you are able to purchase at any drugstore, and this alcohol pad inside will disinfect your arm, but it's not because of the disinfection we are going to use it on your arm. It's because it will reduce the upper layer of your arm and enable a clean application of the electrode to your arm, so the electrode will be able to measure your rest electrical signal, which is still coming from your brain when you are make a voluntary movement for your arm. And it's also used, the same electrodes are used for electrical stimulation. We're going to show to you how exactly this works. Okay. I'm going to clean your arm first with the alcohol pad. After I've cleaned your arm, I'm going to rub the top layer of your arm with tissues or a towel in order to make sure that the top layer of your arm is nice and clean and no rest degrees materials on your arm still interfere with the proper measurement of the EMG signal, the electrical signal from your muscles. If you do not have available alcohol pads to clean your skin, you may also use regular water and soap and rinse it off with tap water, and afterwards rub it dry with a towel. We leave it open for a minute or two in order to make sure that all the alcohol has been evaporated so it won't interfere with the proper measurement. Now we have a clean arm on which we can apply electrodes. We are going to use 3 of those electrodes. These are special electrodes which have a pure silver layer on the back side of the electrodes in order to make sure that we have a proper electrical signal measurement and good electrical stimulation on your arm. First we are going to connect the cable with the pins to the electrodes. Now we are going to place the electrodes in the exact location for measurement and stimulation by gently peeling the electrodes from the liner. And the other electrode, which is marked by the red pin on the other location, which is the best location for measurement of your rest EMG signal and for electrostimulation. The black electrode is a reference electrode which may be placed anywhere between the other electrodes. Just make sure the electrodes do not touch each other. We make sure that your hand is relaxed and falls over the side of the chair, so you will be able to see the lifting of the hand properly yourself. First we are going to stimulate your muscle for the extension of your arm. We gently move your hand up.
Explain.
After we have reached the level of lifting your hand, we turn on the gain knob. We turn up the gain knob slowly and wait until the beeping starts. The beeping indicates that the device is listening for your own electrical signals from your muscles. At the same time, you will see that the green light is blinking for the same indication. Now we are going to try to make a voluntary movement by lifting slowly of your fingers. Please try to move a little bit your fingers, extend them. Very well, until you reach the trigger level, and then the device assists you for the stimulation. During this time you also have to continue yourself making this movement, so your brain will relate between the actual stimulation and visualization of your hand movements and develop new neural pathways from your brain to the affected muscles in order to regain more control over your muscles.
We now recap the process to be done during the training session.
So please try to move a little bit your fingers, and you see the device immediately detects the movement, takes over and starts stimulating your muscles by lifting your hand for the same 6 seconds. Now you can relax, and we are waiting until the next time you are allowed to try again your own voluntary movements. Then the device starts beeping again and then blinking again of the same light indicator. You try to make a small movement, the device detects it, and again it lifts your hand for 6 seconds. The reason why you hear the beeping signal is to prompt you to start again your own voluntary muscle signals, and this only starts after a delay time. I switch it off in order not to disturb us at the moment. The resting period is very important for your muscles to relax again, and in order not to fatigue your muscles too much, so you will be able to have a proper training for the full time of the 20 minutes you're using the device.
How to improve your performance?
Over time, after a couple of days, after a week, maybe after a month, you will find that you will be able to get to the stimulation of the device by turning down the sensitivity. which is the ultimate goal we want you to reach in order to retrain your brain to stimulate on its own voluntarily the muscles who are now spastic, who you are not able to stimulate by yourself. After your training session is over, make sure that you turn off both the gain knob and the stimulation knob before you take the electrodes from your arm or leg. This in order to make sure that the next time you're going to apply the electrodes, the device is not still switched on and you will immediately feel the stimulation.
How to preserve your electrodes.
Let me show you now how to preserve the electrodes for good working order. After the session is over, I take the electrodes gently by the side, remove them from your arm and place them back on the liner from which you originally took the electrodes. On the back side of the liner is a pictogram showing you not to place the electrodes on this side but exclusively on this side. I take the other electrode as well from your arm and the last electrode. After you have removed the electrodes from your arm and placed them back on the liner, make sure to disconnect the pins from the electrodes and to place the electrodes again in the original pouch or zipper bag. If you want to preserve the electrodes for as long as possible, make sure they are closed in the zipper bag. Do not place them in a refrigerator or in direct sunlight, but simply keep them at room temperature. So the best way to preserve your device with the cable inside connected and the electrodes is by simply having them readily available in your home for use.
How to use the Biomove 3000 on your leg.
Like I explained to you how to use the Biomove on your arm, you can of course also use it on your leg. We are going to apply the electrodes on the location on your leg responsible for lifting of your foot. I'm cleaning your leg the same way as I did on your arm, and we are going to apply the electrodes on the nerve responsible for lifting of your foot, also called dorsiflexion. One electrode is placed here, the other red electrode is placed here, and the reference electrode, the black electrode, somewhere in the middle without touching one of the other electrodes. On your leg you probably have to experiment a little bit where to find the best location in order to get a lifting of your foot for the dorsiflexion and for the best measurement of the EMG signal. I turn up the stimulation until I get a satisfactory movement lifting of your foot. Then I turn on the other knob, the gain, and after the relaxation time is over, the device starts beeping again, indicating that you may yourself start voluntary movement of your leg. Now try to lift your toes a little bit. Try to move a little bit. Yes, move them up. Very good. And the device takes over and lifts your foot for you, while you yourself have to continue as well the same movement. This shows the ease of use for the Biomove 3000 using at your own home. Thank you very much for listening to my explanations, and I'm sure that you will be able to apply the device yourself very easily.
For more information, visit www.biomove.com.